as it should be. Yes, indeed. And we've got our mics together, and we're ready to go in any weather. So here we are, back live on Talk Talk Live tonight on IG and YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Apologies to the masses here. I have yet to upload my shorts. We are getting our shorts done. I'm taking time out tomorrow to get it done. I have to do some work in the office, and I never did get a chance to do it this weekend, but I will be doing it tomorrow. Rest assured, on our off day. But again, let's get into the subject tonight. We are talking about the man who's lighting up the space in all forms and all formats, and social media in all forms and all formats. Mr. Achraf Hakimi, a very good footballer, I must say. As you know, as you may or may not know, I am an avid watcher of the beautiful game, the real football, not this CTE football that you have out here in North America. And I must say, Achraf Hakimi is one of the best left backs in world football, to be fair, and he plays for a team named Paris Saint-Germain in Paris. And a very well known international footballer. And is it right back? I think he's right back. I think he's right back. Yes, he's a right back at Paris Saint-Germain. So he's a defender, and he's a very well known footballer out there in world football. And also, he is a member of the Moroccan national team. So again. A very, one of the best footballers in the world, and he is paid a very handsome wage. Now, again, a little background to this, as we go live on Talk Talk Live. Achraf was involved, was married to his wife. You know what? Let's just do this. Let's go to our browser right here. Thank you very much for joining the Talk Talk Live. Let's get into this. Yes, here we go. Let's look at the couple here. Achraf Hakimi and wife. Yes, and wife. Here we are. So let's Hiba Abouk is her name. Let's get some images of them together here. Here we are, and here they go. And this is them in loving embrace before the controversy happened. Here we are, and there we go. Should. Anyways, let's see here. Yes. Open image, new tab. There we go. So that is them. So let's just spread that out there so y'all can see. There they are. That's them in their previous time of wedded bliss. Achraf Hakimi and Hiba Abouk are the couple there, and they were married for a 3-year span. Now again, here is the deal, as you will hear ongoing on Talk Talk Live. Hiba is older than Achraf. Hiba is 35 and Achraf is 21. She, I believe, met him when she was 31 and he was 19. People. Now, if the roles were reversed and he was 31 and she was 19, there would be no end to the uproar that comes from that. But in this instance, this all went silent. It went very, very silent, went very, very under the radar, because as she knew, she saw a top footballer in her midst and literally wanted to take advantage of his skills and his abilities. Now Hiba is in her own right is a well-known Spanish actress. One of the top Spanish actresses out there in the nation, earns a very, very 1% wage, to be fair, and is one of the one of the top Spanish actresses out there. So she has a very high net worth herself. She's about I think her net worth is about $3.5 million at one time. I think she earns it, and she has participated in many commercial deals as well within the nation and within Europe. So she's a very, very well known actress, and she is again one of the so she is no slouch in terms of the in the finance department. She was a wife to Achraf for a 3 year span, about a 3 year span. But then Achraf got himself into some naughtiness in terms of his dealings in dealing with the law. Now he was accused of sexual assault on a few occasions, and basically they met it out in it was met out in court, and due to the fact that he was involved in these sexual allegations, Heba decided instead of sticking by her man, she didn't want to be done with it. And actually, she believed in the accusers of Mr. Hakimi of sexual assault, and decided then and there that she wanted to be estranged from her husband and leave and try to dissolve the marriage in and of itself. That's right. So instead of standing by her man in this instance and trying to let due process way out, she decided she wanted a way out of her marriage and say, "Hey, I'm gonna take my leave here. We're gonna, and since Mr. Hakimi's net worth is about 70 to 100 million pounds, and is a very well-paid footballer himself, and earns about 215,000 pounds a week. She decided that, well, I'm gonna dip in. I'm gonna, test the waters out there, get away from this scandal that he's involved with, not stand by her man, and take what she can get from him. So that means half of his fortune. That was what she decided to do. So, in doing that, she said, "You know what? We live in this this lovely lifestyle. We live in these lovely homes, and the marital assets will be split, and I will get like half, if not more than half of his fortune. So I'll be good." So she thought. See, what happened was, Mr. Hakimi, by luck or by grace in and of itself, said to himself, didn't say to himself, was counseled either by himself or his mother or his family, period, that it would be wise for him not to, number one, it would be wise for him to take care of himself if he's going to marry this woman, because clearly she was the older of the two, so she was a bit more, he was in there for love, she was there for, it could have been love, but it didn't happen to be that way, and so she decided to move forward with her life, and decided that it would be best that she was on her own and taking whatever share she could from the marriage that they had been involved with for that time. So, and remember, they did have kids. I did not say that. They did have kids at the time. So again, that would be taken into account in any sort of divorce settlement. But hold on now. As has been seen by many a person out there in social media these days, Achraf had a surprise for Madame Abouk, who didn't change her name, actually. But there you go. That is the feminist, womanist mindset in and of itself. And again, she never did take her husband's name. But she didn't realize that, as I was saying, that he protected himself. He protected himself in a rather ingenious way, and it has been used before. Let me say this: he didn't exactly change the world in the way he protected himself, but he did bring it to a new stage in this instance. You see, Achraf decided that Achraf, his family, his friends, his mother in particular, decided it would be best for him to take any sort of funds that he received and gift it to his mother. That's right. He decided to gift said receipts to his mother. Now, a lot of men are accused of being mama's boys, but in this instance, being a mother's boy paid off. Being a mother's boy paid off big time, to the point where his supposed fortune was saved, and it wasn't left to to the clutches of his ex-wife. I wouldn't say disloyal. Well, yeah, you could say a disloyal ex-wife. Be fair, Frank. She saw an opportunity, she took it, and she got out of there. It wasn't love in the first place. It was love of opportunity that kept her there for her time. She had her kids. She did her business, and quite simply, she decided, you know what, this would be my right time to leave when these sexual allegations, which were refuted, mind you, came to pass. So, we're in a situation where Hakimi had, prior to the marriage, gifted most, if not all of his, prior to the marriage, gifted all of his salaried funds and into the marriage to his mother. Now, there's a wrinkle in that, and we'll find out a little later from the lead attorney why that would be a little bit of a sticking issue in terms of things, because well, we'll find out later how that could be a sticking issue. But to be fair and frank, he decided to put it in his mother's name, and lo and behold, through gifting, it preserved his fortune. It literally preserved his fortune. And we're going to get into it right now on Talk Live with an explanation from the one and only, yes, Fresh and Fit. Fresh decided to, Fit decided to, or Myron as he is named, so aptly named, he is going to let you know why Mr. Hakimi decided to leave his largesse of contracted funds to his mother rather to himself in this instance, and in turn saved himself and his fortune. Let's go. Thank you for joining me on Talk Live on IG and YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Let's do this.
As you guys know, in the United States, in the West in general, the Western world where feminism is strong, there's a very deep dislike and a strong shaming culture for men that are close to their mothers. They're called mama's boys, immature, stupid, not a real man, etc. You guys want to know why these stereotypes are so strong and prevalent in the West? It's because when you're a mama's boy, right, what ends up happening when you have a strong relationship with your mother is your mother is not going to let you get finessed by other women.
100%.
This is why so many modern-day women dislike and have a strong disdain for men that are close with their mothers. Because when you're tight with your mom, right? I always say that your father protects you from negative consequences of life, like getting arrested, going to jail, etc. He's the first line of defense. Your mom, she's a good mother, is a good first line of defense for you as a man, your heart. Okay? What I mean by that is women understand each other. Okay? Girls can walk into a room, size up the room, figure out what all the girls are about, figure out the bullshit, etc. They're able to see past it. Okay? If you have a good mom by your side, she's going to naturally make you red pill aware to a degree. I tell you guys all the time, whenever women get mad at me, oh, you're a misogynist. Who hurt you? Who taught you this shit? You're like, dude, your mom must be ashamed of you. And I'm like, oh, really? Little do they know, it's my mom that warned me about you fucking hoes. But they don't know that, because the thing is that my mom comes from a different cloth. She warned me about American women. She told me about feminism. She told me about all this shit back in the 90s when I was a child and I didn't realize any better. I was like, Mom, what's wrong with you? Like, what do you mean? What's wrong with American women and the way that they behave and, you know, them wanting to be independent? What's wrong with you? But now as an adult, 30 years later, I'm realizing, holy fuck, she was right. These chicks really are useless and don't want to provide you value. Now, here's my theory on what I think happened. And just so you guys know, in Middle Eastern culture, right? Middle Eastern culture and the Islamic faith in general, it's fairly taboo to marry a woman older than you. All right? It's looked down upon. It's not really...
Before we get into that,
regardless,
let me stop this quickly.
Sudan, Morocco, Egypt.
There we go. Yeah, finally. All right, fine. Before we get into that, let's just break down what he just said. In Western society, in the modern world, with feminists, with womanists, with women of such nature, modern women in particular, it is a known practice to shame boys who are close to their mothers. because they're seen as not being real men. They're seen as not being the type to can stand on their own 2 feet. They are seen as being behind her apron, and as a result, you can't be a real man if you are always listening to your mother. But in this instance, and in particular with regards to a man, no man can be loved by a woman as much as their mother loves her child, especially her male son. You will not receive the same love, unconditional love, the way a mother gives to her son. I think no man in this world can do that. I think love is, indeed, love is conditional with regards to most women. And most women will tell you that. If you don't earn, if you don't provide, if you don't protect, if you don't offer counsel, if you don't do the necessary things, if you don't look good, smell good, if you get fat, if you do any of the things that undo the ties that bind with your woman, quite simply, she'll leave you alone. She'll depart from you and move on. Especially if she is of a certain beauty standard. They'll leave you. They'll just leave you. And that's where the shaming begins with regards to modern women. Modern women are known to shame men for having a close relationship with their mothers. Quite simply. But in this instance, it saved them a fortune. But that's the thing. I mean, you have to realize that in this instance, it saved him a natural fortune by listening to his mother. I think if more men took counsel from their mothers who have unconditional love for them, they'd be much better off. I think what men do these days is buying into the idea of men having to be strong, independent, and away from their mothers, that modern women teach, it leads you astray in certain capacities and can lead you to losing your fortune, especially in divorce proceedings, as it did not in this case. But let's get back to it. He's going to break down why, indeed, Achraf Hakimi did follow his mother's advice in this instance.
Anywhere in the Middle East, it's not common for you to marry a woman older than you, especially if you have money and status. So this is what I think happened more than likely. His mom saw that he was marrying an older woman, sized her up, met her a few times, like, this bitch is a sharmuta. I'm good. Nah. You're going to put everything under my name. I don't think this woman has good intentions, etc. I love you. I'm going to let you marry her and do what you want. But to be safe, put everything under my name. I guarantee you it was his mother's plan.
A very, very good... I believe everything that Myron has to say on this one. Everything Fed has to say on this one rings, I believe, true. I think that's exactly how it played out. He brought his woman to his mother. They sized her up. They took counsel. She took him in confidence and in private, and literally said, "Okay, I don't like this woman, but you love her, so we'll go with what you have in mind." Because again, she did remember pick him out when he was 19. She was 31 at the time. She was a grown woman at the time, so she knew exactly what she was doing. 70% of her eggs were gone. She said, I'm going to cash in with the best possible. Remember, she did what Brittany Renner did way back when. Brittany Renner did that to my man from the Charlotte Hornets. She did that with her man. And she decided she wanted to, cash in. But she thought she would be a high value man's wife. But at the end, I wouldn't say she would be a baller's wife. Let's say that. There's high value men that are ballers. She thought that she would be a baller's wife. But at the end of the day, That didn't happen. That definitely did not happen. So, in this instance, she thought, Hiba Abuk decided, hey, I'm going to cash in on this gentleman who's destined for greatness. She banked in when he was 19, and basically they started a family. They married, they had kids, and she said, okay, this is my gravy train. Now that there was sexual assault allegations against him, which she believed, she decided now's the time to check out. Now's the time to take my fortune away. And I think that was her plan all along, to be fair. For her to be not falling in lockstep with her man and believing his end of the story and and what he had to say, and deciding that she wanted out and taking whatever she could from him in that sort of time, it doesn't ring true. It doesn't. Well, it sounds like this was her plan all along. It was predestined. It was predetermined that this was going to be the case. So he decided to check out. She decided to check out. But getting back to on the Hakimi side, they said, okay, they anticipated this. They realized that this could happen. So she said, okay, anything that you earn, put it in mama's name. Gift it to me. I give you an allowance. And basically anything I buy is in your mother's name, but we know it's really yours. But at the end of the day, that way everything is copacetic and everything is cool, and she can't take your fortune. And that's exactly what happened in this case. They realized that this is an abnormal marriage. As Fit was saying, in the Muslim religion, it is rare for an older woman to take a younger man. So they thought this was, as so eloquently put by Andrew Tate, haram, quite simply. And she said, okay, if we're going to have this sort of arrangement, fine, but give me your money, and that way, if she leaves, she can't take it. And that's exactly what happened in this case. Now, again, as I said before, and as I alluded to before, there is a wrinkle in this, in that there may have been a bit of skullduggery on the part of Hakimi, and full disclosure, I believe in being fair on Talk Live, so I believe that, that has to be aired, those views, and we're going to get that with the lead attorney, but in this instance, it served Mr. Hakimi well. So well that he was exonerated from charges from divorce, and in doing so, exonerated from charges of sexual assault, and in doing so, in divorce proceedings, he didn't have to give up a dime because he didn't own anything. He owned nothing. Everything was in his mother's name. And many people have taken this to heart in many different cultures and capacities. I believe in Latin culture and Mexican culture, people put things in their mother's names. I know in African American culture, there are many people there are those who have street pharmacists, who have street pharmacies, as they say. They would put anything in their mother's name in order to not having to suffer the slings and arrows of any sort of IRS or any sort of tax claims or any sort of issues with the law. So this is the known practice, but in this instance, this is new because usually footballers would keep their fortunes in their name, and none of these sort of precautions and any sort of these eventualities would have to take place. But in this instance, it did. So it served Mr. Hakimi very, very, very well.
Guarantee, because him to be 24, to have that kind of foresight and that wisdom, to be sexually inexperienced, to make a dumb decision like marrying an older woman like that, that doesn't make sense for him to also put everything under his mom's name. Does that make sense? Like, the stupidity of marrying an older woman, a woman like that, does not coincide with the intelligence of putting everything under your mother's name. So I guarantee his mother had some play in saying, yo, you're going to put everything under my name because I don't trust this chick. I don't like this chick. I think she's trying to marry you for ulterior motives. And what we're going to do is we're going to protect your assets.
Wait,
so
what's
that's what I think.
Shamuta?
What's a shamuta?
Bless you.
I'll let y'all figure that one out. if y'all wanna
all these sharmutas.
Yeah, sharmuta in Arabic.
Bless you.
Yeah.
But to add to your point though, I would say also as well, in that sense, that woman had experience.
Sorry.
that most women don't have. So at that age, she knew all about what to do if things didn't work out, if she wanted to leave. She had an exit strategy pretty much. Yeah. So off Rick, she was smarter than him. So his mom saved his life.
Saw it coming.
Yeah.
His mom, I guarantee you, bro, she saw it coming. Because like I said before, the biggest red flag, right? And it's crazy. Like I want you, guys, everywhere else in the world, okay, marrying older women is unacceptable behavior. It's like considered, women older than you is considered stupid. All right, only in the United States is that like a thing that's like cool and acceptable, like, or in the West in general. Like anywhere else in the world, if you're like a guy, especially if you're successful and you marry a chick older than you, they're like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you stupid? So I guarantee you, at that point, him marrying an older chick, his mom was like, whoa, ran her on, met the girl, didn't like her. All right, we're putting everything under my name. Fuck that shit.
But moms do know though. Even my example with my mom, before I married that single mom, she was like, hey, listen, just so you know, this is what is really gonna happen in this relationship. And I was like, oh, I got it, man, I'm covered.
Oh, your mom called? What did she say?
She was like, I shouldn't say this on here, but it's fine. Son, I love you. Just know that when you make this choice, are you ready to be a stepdad? And I was like, yeah, I can. She's like, are you sure?
Stupid.
And she made a whole list of what I have to do in this relationship. And I was like, man, we good, man, you know, blah, 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 Christian life, whatever. And, you know, looking back, when I saw the video with Tom Likas, you know, Soul TV 84.
Okay, we're getting a little on a little tangent with with Fresh's life and his life with his and his married life with the baby mom. But then again, getting back to what with what Fit had to say, with what Myron had to say. I mean, she was she never trusted the woman. It's pretty much haram in Muslim practice in order for you to marry an older woman, and definitely Myron disadvocates for you to marry an older woman, because again, she has a lot more experience about life and in all of its intricacies, and quite simply there are ulterior motives to her being there in terms of a marriage. So she wanted, in order to protect her son and allow for his wishes, because clearly he was in love, he said, you know what, okay, fine, we're going to let this thing happen, but we're going to protect ourselves. I'm going to offer an insurance policy, and the insurance policy is taking away his fortune. But we're going to get, but thank you very much to Fresh and Fit for their take on the subject. We're going to move on to the lead attorney right here. Now,
open some shit out. 3119.
I think I started just a bit quick there, but yes, here we go. So we're gonna get back into the lead attorney here. Now, the lead attorney, shout out to the lead attorney. He is one of my favorite YouTubers, period, and he has had a rapid rise in the within Black YouTube, within YouTube, period. And shout out to him, a former friend of Kevin Samuels himself. And a noted divorce attorney of 20 years within the Georgia jurisdiction. The state of Georgia, that is, the United States. Now, Mr. Lead Attorney, he has his take on this whole Achraf Hakimi saga. And again, I think he offers his take on what indeed happened here, but a bit of skullduggery on the part of Achraf Hakimi in terms of keeping his fortune, because he I'll let him speak about it, and we'll get into it on Talk Live here.
And guys, if it was reverse, if he's 31 and then he goes up, shout out to Coach Greg Adams, he goes down to the junior college, scoop me up one of these 19-year-olds, and not, it's not like that's when they got married. She married a 19-year-old.
Let that sink in. I don't hear any feminists, womanists, any sort of women coming out and ridiculing Madame Abouk for marrying a 19-year-old. She was 31. He was 19. Is a 19-year-old a sound mind and body? I don't think so. They think they are, but they're not. Yes, Mr. Hakimi may have been, a star footballer at the time, but he didn't all of his wits about him then. He didn't. A woman clearly saw her way into a fortune and she took it, no matter what his age was. So was she being predatory? Yeah, because a man would be considered the same for doing what she did. So, again, let's continue.
What if the lead? I don't know, man. I'm 46. What if I go down and find a woman who is half my age? What's half my age? If I'm 46, I don't do math, guys. If whatever. If I'm 46, you carry. I need Chat GPT. Okay, shout out to Mark. Mark's the first person to get.
Move this ahead a bit.
23. So let's say I meet some 23-year-olds. Does anybody know some 23-year-old who's been on the channel? Is there some little 23?
Move it a bit further here.
Near college, scooped him up. Fine. They get married, have a couple kids. Now it gets a little rambunctious, and some woman is making all these claims. She said in the press when these claims out, no, I'm not divorcing her because of these claims. I'm not divorcing her because of these claims. I had already decided to divorce him. No, sorry. She said that I'm not divorcing him because of the claims. She said that I had already decided a month ago to divorce him. Fine. What happened to stand by your man? Shout out to Christina. Who remembers that beautiful black woman that came up here standing by her man that got incarcerated down here in Georgia on these trumped up alleged false charges? She was like, I'm cashing you out, buddy. You making $215,000 a week? I'm cashing you out, buddy. You worth $70 million? I'm only worth $3. You're worth $70 million. I'm only worth $3. I'm cashing you out, buddy. I'm gonna take your 35. That's half, right? I'm gonna take your 35 and I'm gonna put it with my 3, and I'm gonna be even good. 35 and 3, what's that? 38 million? I'm good. I won. She go to court. What did?
Before we get into that, just quickly, thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on IG and YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Do remember what's at stake here. This is the risk. Well, this is the ploy, the move, the chess piece that she was moving here. She said, "Okay, he's involved in a scandal, but before that scandal, and I know what's coming down the road. I want out of this. I'm gonna take the kids. I'm gonna move away and try to take half of his fortune." So he was worth $70 million. He's earning $250,000 a week in salary. That's American dollars. Again, that could be different for in euros / pounds. But she's taking away $35 million because that's what he's worth. Because, well, she didn't want to be there, and she saw she didn't want to be there. She didn't want to help stand by her man in this time of need, and she wanted to cash him out, as the attorney so eloquently said. If that's disloyalty, I don't know what it is, but it is what it is. As can be said, the mother's there for you, and most women are there for what they can get from you. Love is fleeting in this situation, especially with modern women, especially with how divorces are sized up these days. So that's the stage that we are at right now.
The judge say. The judge was like, "Okay, we're gonna give you half," and she's like, "Yes." Half of nothing. Half of nothing. She's enraged. She's enraged. She's crying. She's discombobulated. What do you mean? All the cars, the fancy cars, in the mama name. All the properties $215,000 a week. Oh my God. Deposited directly to the mama.
Yeah. Well, that's the issue that we are at right now, and that's one of Miss Amuk's big mistakes, and I mean huge mistakes, is that she never had a joint account for their assets, for their liquid assets, their money. She never did have a joint account, and with that joint account, anything put into that account, anything put into that account would be jointly made. So, but even so, different properties and such, especially that if they were acquired during the marriage, could be split at that time. But the thing about it is, she never insisted upon it. She never checked upon it. She never was diligent in terms of her and the marital finances. She wasn't. She literally wasn't. She thought, oh, this house will be mine, and that car will be mine, and these certain, trappings of wealth will be mine as well. Half of his fortune will be mine. Not realizing that half of the fortune was not for her. It was for his mother. See, he found a way to, I wouldn't say he found a way. I think, as it was explained by Fit in the other just a bit earlier on Talk Live, he found a way around said issue. They found a way around said issue, and that was put everything in her mother's name, and therefore cut her out of the deal. Now, again, there's a bit of skullduggery that we're going to find out about in Talk Live. So let's just get right to it. We're going to speed up just a little bit and get to about this stage here. Okay, there we go. Let's go here. And we know the stage where it's set right now. And, we're going to let the lead attorney break it down.
All right. Guys, when you are married, there are typically two types of property. There's two types of property. Property can be divided in two ways. One type is separate property. The second type is marital property. Now, let me tell you something, guys. Just to be honest, this is very important. So listen up. This is very important. If you guys are going through a divorce right now, if you guys are married and you're thinking about this is very, very important. Now, this is generally what they're called. You might live in damn Colorado or something, and it's called something else, but this is what you got. Two types of property. What is separate property? Separate property typically was obtained before the marriage. What's the significance of separate property? It is yours. It is all yours. No sharing. All yours. All right? No sharing. This is the good stuff. This is the property. When guys flip out about getting a divorce, it's because they don't want their stuff split up. If all their stuff was separate property, it would not be split up. Right? So
let's move on a bit quicker here.
$70K by 2. Uh-oh. Now, what do you have here, guys? And I just really want y'all to see this because most people don't know. It's just like you know, on the front end, Uncle Sam is hitting you. Uncle Sam is getting his 30 before you in the beginning, and then your wife is getting her cut in the end. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like, you're in the middle. Uncle Sam has you in the front.
Again, this is a little explanation about family law and divorce and share of assets.
Bridge in the chat. Y'all been to college. Y'all know about that damn London London Bridge. When you in the damn college dorm, man, y'all got the girls over and you trying to figure out. And then you look over at your buddy like, this one right here. Oh, this one right here. This one right here. Oh, you got to cut them out of the herd. You have to identify the horse. Listen, let me back up. Don't get me to tell it on myself. You got some London Bridge action going. This is what's happening with you if you're a married man making $100,000 a year. Uncle Sam is hitting you from the front. And your wife, because you decided to get a wife, is hitting you from the back. All right? Now, here's where it gets kind of messed up. All right? Here's where it's kind of getting messed up. He's making, let me show you guys. He is making, Achraf is making $215,000 a week. $215,000 a week. Here's a question, guys. Is his salary separate property or marital property? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? He's making $215,000 a week. Is his salary considered separate property or is it considered marital property? Marriage causes divorce is the first one. He gets it. Guys, it's marital property. All right.
So before he gets into that, let me just break down why it would have been wiser for Achraf to wait to get married than do it now. Because as you can see, at his highest earning potential, well, potentially his highest earning potential, £215,000 a week, he has to share that money. Any money that comes into the marital household, he has to share. So at his highest earning potential in his life, he has to share that amount with his wife and his and the marriage, because he received those monies during his time as a football. But if he had waited another 5-10 years when his career's on the downside or when things are at an end, and then married his wife, he would have been able to keep his fortune to himself, because that would have been his property, not marital property. Now his $250,000 a week is marital property. Let's go on with this. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Okay, we're getting back on track. Thank you for joining me on Talk Live.
Legally, if it's marital property, what should happen to it? Legally, if it's marital property, what do we say about marital property? Marital property is divided 50-50. All right? Marital property, separate property, guys. Y'all remember? Separate property is all yours. There's no sharing because it's obtained before the marriage. Marital property is obtained during the marriage and it's divided 50-50. Right? So if his current salary is $250 a week, this is what he's receiving during the marriage, then it's marital property. So what should happen? It should be divided. Now, that means that, let's say we're not going to say it's 215. We're just going to say 200 to make the math easy. What does that mean? That means he makes $100,000 a week. Wife makes $100,000 a week. Can you imagine? Just because you're married, you're making $1,000. She ain't been on Nan pitch. Isn't that what they call a soccer field? A pitch? She ain't been on Nan pitch. She ain't been to Nan fucking practice and she's making $100,000 a week. Oh, the one.
That, in and of itself, is why you'll never find a woman's protest outside of a family court. It's counterproductive. It's unnecessary. Especially when you see the fact that she doesn't have to build any skills. She does not have to do anything whatsoever in terms of being a footballer. And she earns $100,000 a week of his paycheck by simply being married to him. Does everybody see why marriage is a very, very slippery slope? Not saying that it's good, not saying it's bad. It's just a slippery slope, especially for men. Because if you're earning monies to this effect, he was earning $215,000 a week. A week. This guy was a multi-millionaire footballer. He has to share half of that with his wife, who did nothing to help him earn that. Remember, she married him at 19 years old. Follow me. 19. Cut dry, she earned $100,000 a week. To a woman that you, well, can't trust really. And who was an older woman and who knew the ways of the world better, I believe, than Achraf himself. So he had to be saved. But let's continue.
Woman thought she was up. Shout out to Marriage Causes Divorce. That's right. What's your boy? What's that dude name? Rick Ross. You wasn't shooting in the gym. She wasn't shooting in the gym.
Yep.
Now, guys, let's follow this to its legal conclusion. What was he doing? He had his checks deposited into his mama's bank. But guys, who earned the money? Did his mama earn the money? Or did he earn the money? He was out there playing soccer. He had the contract. He earned the money. So what he was doing, guys, he was taking his $100,000 a week and depositing it into his mother's bank. But guys, listen up, listen up. He was also taking his wife's money. He was taking his wife's money and deposited into the bank. This is what I'm telling you guys. That's a predator. Do y'all see how fucked up it is? It's not that he just escaped. That's not the point. He was stealing.
Take that in. See, that's the wrinkle that I was telling you about, that I was talking to you about on Talk to Talk Live. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk to Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Link in the description. Spring summer line out now. Now that is the wrinkle that not everybody talks about. Achraf, as was so well spotted by the lead attorney, had been taking his wife's share of his money and depositing and moving it to his mother's bank account, gifting it to his mother. That's the one part that's not been reported widely. Everybody's saying, oh, he doesn't know his wife anything. But the fact of the matter is, half the marital assets, well, depends on jurisdiction, but in this instance, in most of the United States, in most of the developed world really, half marital assets usually are split between both spouses. And in this instance, those assets weren't split. He literally took all of those funds and left it with his mother. Never leaving anything with his wife. Maybe a few incidentals here and there, yeah. Throughout the marriage, if she needed money here and there, yeah, he would be there to provide. But again, this was a millionaire. This is a woman who did not need the money. She did not need the money. She liked the lifestyle that he provided, but she did not exactly need the money because she could have provided it herself. She could have provided it all herself. But what Achraf did, which is a bit of skullduggery that I was talking about in this instance, is that he played a little fast and loose with the money. Basically, he said, you know what, Ma? Take the money. Anything that I earn, anything that comes into the house, you keep it. I'm gifting it to you. My fortune is in your hands. And I'll just take an allowance from you whenever I need the money. And that will pay for any sort of house, cars, lifestyle, living expenses that I may have. And the wife was saying, okay, cool, this is all good and well and everything. The money's moving and we're living a lavish lifestyle and everything. But these sexual allegations came around, and so I don't feel so comfortable, so I'm out of here. Where's the money? Where's the money? I'm looking for the money. Gimme, gimme, gimme. There is no money. You heard me. There is no money. Now, again, the fact that there is no money is a bit of a problem because, as I said, there should have been money. Because if a forensic accountant would have done his due diligence, the money would have been moved around, But all the money was gifted. All the money is gifted. And once the money is gifted, as he will explain later, once the money is a gift, it can't be returned. It cannot be turned back. Right? Once the money is gifted to a certain person, that money is theirs, not yours anymore. So goes the story. So even though Achraf and City Boys were up that day, they did a little, little skullduggery, a little bit of cheating, a little bit of fumbling of the books in order to get there.
He was stealing from his wife $100,000 a week. This is what's not being stated. He was stealing. This is so important for you guys to recognize. The $200,000 a week was marital property. It half belonged to her. Now, when he transferred the money to his mother's account, what was that legally? Legally, we would call that a gift. So he was gifting, even though the checks were deposited into the mother's account, it's his checks. Don't ever get it twisted. It's his checks. So he was gifting his mother $100,000 a week of his money and $100,000 a week of her money. He was stealing from her $100,000 a week. Now, this is very, very important. Let me just blow this up. This is very, very important. Check this out. This is the key. This is the key. Guys, here's the crux of the whole situation. Once I gift you something that is mine, it is no longer mine. It's no longer mine. This is the whole issue. This is the whole issue. I have nothing because I gifted it to you. Now you have what I have. So I don't have anything. Right? I don't have anything. If we have if let's say if I'm married, let's say I'm married to AB. If I have 100,000 in a bank account and AV divorces me, how much should she get? Question, guys. Here's a question. If I have $100,000 in a bank account,
let's speed this up just a little bit, but you see what I'm getting at here.
If I have $100,000 in a bank account during the marriage, and AV divorces me, how much should she get? Brandon says 50,000. Brandon, Denver is exactly right. Now I have a question. I gift the 100,000 to Brandon, Denver. Now the account is that same account. The same account is at 0. AV divorces me. How much does she get? Y'all gonna be able to pass the bar after this. Now I give Brandon. I just transferred into his name. Shout out to Cry. I can't even read your name, baby. I hope you're a woman too. I said it, baby. Crimiris. Crimiris is exactly right. She gets 0. She gets 0. Here's the issue, guys, and I hope all of y'all see this, and I just want to make this clear. I have robbed AV. I've robbed AV because she should have gotten 50,000 legally, and now she gets 0.
Are you getting this now? So that's the particular. Well, that's the harangue in this whole divorce proceeding that's gone unreported. And thanks to the attorney for saying that, is the fact that she should have got something. We believe in being, we're a red pill content channel, to be fair, but fair is fair. And if you're involving yourself in any sort of marriage and you get divorced, well, you have to pay up half of all marital assets. That's the long and the short of it. That's the long and the short of it. And in this instance, Achraf didn't pay up. Achraf took all of his money, gave it to his mother, and quite simply left his wife with nothing. So a little skullduggery on the part of Achraf Hakimi. But at the end of the day, it saved him a fortune. Now, I don't know if she would, appeal the divorce decree and ask that it be relitigated, and see if she can get anything out of that. Because again, she should have had something in the divorce, but I don't know what what sort of laws are in these instances I would say in France, if not France, in Europe, if not in Europe, then in Morocco, for these proceedings. But again, Ms. Abouk should have received something for her trouble. She should have received something, but she didn't. And men around the world are rejoicing. But okay, I get the lady's point in this instance, but let's break it down even further. Let's call a spade here. She didn't kick a ball. She did not run a mile. She did not do anything to earn it. To be fair, she had a couple kids, yes, and they deserve child support in many ways. But was she there for a man? Was she there for any long period of time? No, she was there for 3 years. 3 years. She married him at 19. She knew what she was doing. And some would say this is a bit of comeuppance on her part, but some would say otherwise. But that's the long and the shortest right now. She was robbed of any sort of finances that she received. But no matter what, men are still rejoicing. Men are still taking this as a huge W. Huge W. Thank you very much, the lead attorney, for breaking that part of the divorce process down. In that even though Hakimi owes his wife nothing, he should give back something because part of the marital estate should have gone to her. Should have gone to Ms. Abu. So, we move on now. I was just catching, I was slightly distracted there. Sorry about that. Yes, and so we hear and we see that the world rejoices at the fact that for the moment, I would not say, listen, for the moment, Achraf Hakimi has won. Achraf Hakimi has beat the system, has beat the clock here in this instance. And we have now to see that he has won his marital estate, quite simply. So, he has won his marital estate. He owes his wife nothing. He is left with his fortune. In his mother's name, yes, but his fortune is, quote-unquote, his family's. And he kept it away from the clutches of his vindictive and conniving, quote-unquote, wife. Disloyal wife, to be fair. But let's move on to some of the celebrations here as we move forward here at Talk Live. We finish up the show. Thank you very much for joining me at Talk Live. One thing that brought a little smile to my face is, as this little wrinkle here, is that, let's turn that around. Well, actually, yeah, we can do that. We can move on here. We're now in a case where now Achraf Hakimi has nothing. Now Achraf Hakimi is left without, is considered destitute, is considered without any sort of fortune whatsoever because it's all in his mother's name. It's all been transferred to his mother. It's been gifted to her. So, and he receives an allowance on that money. So anything that he receives an allowance of, okay, it's her payment to him. She has gifted something to him, quite simply, in order for him to live. But the fact of the matter that he has no fortune, he has nothing, no assets to his name, it puts a switch on things in that his wife now is seen as the breadwinner. That's the twist to this ever delicious story, is that now the wife is now considered the breadwinner in this instance because he has no fortune, he has nothing. She is considered the breadwinner. And as a result, because of the divorce now, the table's reversed. The table is reversed in which instead of him actually owing her half of his fortune, she actually owes him half of her fortune. Because she's the breadwinner. Remember, she is one of the top 1% of earners in Spain and if not the world. Because she is worth $3 million, pounds, euros a year. Well, that's her fortune, $3 million. So since that was earned during the marriage, well, she owes him a bit of alimony. He is owed half of that fortune. See how times have changed. Let's move on. Let's see.
The law states that due to the divorce, your lovely wife here is going to walk away with half of all your belongings. So, Mr. Hakimi, how much are you actually worth? I don't get shishi.
What do you mean?
What is the meaning of this? Does he think we're here to joke? This ain't no joke, boy. You can ask my mama right there. Yes, all his money is with me. God damn.
Achraf Hakimi is set to receive half of his ex-wife's wealth because legally she is richer than him. Welcome to Management Highlights Day. Just like the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard case, every man has to study what's going on between Achraf Hakimi and Iba Abouk. They should teach this shit in elementary school. You've heard of the Mike Pence rule, and now you've heard of the Hakimi's mom rule.
And as you can see, men are rejoicing around the world. Let's move on.
This is pure gold. Now it's time for us to get into this and do what we gotta do. Because we men ain't we. We men ain't we. Iba Abouk is a great example of how female nature works. Check this out. Who is Achraf Hakimi's wife? Iba Abouk. Will he get half her money? Abouk has a reported net worth of about $2 million and would have received $8.5 million. Fellas, this was no traditional wife. She was not broke. Matter of fact, she belongs to the top 1% with a net worth over $1 million. Janice, read.
Actress Hima Abouk, 36, became a household name in Spain after starring in the crime drama El Principal. Worth a reported €3.1 million. The mother of two is likely to continue her TV and film career in the wake of her split from her husband. On Instagram, she has 1.3 million followers and no doubt earns a handsome amount from brand partnerships, promoting products such as Dior perfume. She also has various charity projects focused on promoting children's health and welfare.
This is one of those strong and independent women, right? She's a freaking millionaire without Achraf Hakimi's money. Yet, she has the audacity to ask for half of this man's assets. Now, why would she do that? She's worth over $2 million. She could say to Hakimi, listen, I think you cheated on me. I think you raped that woman. I have no proof. She refused to have medical examination, but I always believed the accuser, so I'm divorcing you because I can't be with an immoral person. I don't want your money because I'm strong and independent. I can take care of myself. Why didn't she do that, fellas? Why not? Because women are hypergamous and they can't go back in lifestyle. That's why women have no problem taking men to the cleaners. Justified or not. Where are these righteous women at? Huh? You don't see these women marching to change the laws. Nah. As long as it is beneficial to them, you're not gonna hear this equality foolishness, right? Because women.
And he's right. This is where, no matter how things turned out, this is where the bit of irony remains in that women can be strong and independent, but yet they still want and desire and believe they deserve a man's fortune. How can you be independent and yet look for handouts in a divorce proceeding? Because the reverse would not be the same if it was for a man. But again, this is the kind of world that we live in, because women are hypergamous. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine. Right? What's mine is mine, and what yours is mine. And that's exactly what happened in this instance. She took a 19-year-old, married him, and said, you know what, you'll be earning a fortune as a footballer, as a right back for, Borussia Dortmund, and now at Inter Milan, and now Paris Saint-Germain. And as a result, I'm going to make off like a bandit. That's why you will not find feminists protesting outside of a family court. It's counterproductive because why do that when most family laws are, especially when it comes to divorce proceedings, are for women in and of itself. But women are strong and independent these days, right? But they take full advantage of any sort of divorce proceeding there is. You will not find one feminist try to lobby against the laws, the current laws that are in existence in family courts throughout the developed world. You'll never find it. Never find it. That's what I find so fascinating.
Do not want equality. It's she-quality what they want. Men in the comments are saying women want sons like Hakimi, but they don't want husbands like Hakimi. There are rumors that she orchestrated the whole thing. Makes sense. You can't divorce a guy that's good. Same thing with Johnny Depp. You know, in order for Amber Heard to look good, they had to make Johnny Depp look bad.
What, if anything, happened when you were in Jamaica with Mr. Depp?
We were leaving the room, and Johnny left the room before I did, and there had been a rainstorm, and as I left the room, I slid down the stairs, and I hurt my back.
How did you...
And
I apologize, Ms. Moss. Please continue.
and I screamed because I was in because I didn't know what had happened to me and I was in pain, and he came running back to help me and carried me to my room and got me medical attention.
Did Mr. Depp push you in any way down the stairs?
No.
During the course of your relationship, did he ever push you down any stairs?
No, he never pushed me, kicked me, or threw me down any stairs.
But you have to understand, Amber Heard took it to court because she couldn't lose. Iba Abuk took it to court because she couldn't lose. They all had lawyers who know exactly how this system works. But the unexpected happened. Johnny Depp recorded everything and went public. Hakimi had Supermom on his side. So now the tables are turned. She is now considered the highest earner, the breadwinner. You see how Johnny Depp let Amber Heard off the hook? Men are not vengeful and toxic like women want to believe. Hakimi has money, and for him, it was never about the money. That's why Mama had to intervene, because that love drug would destroy him like it did many men before him.
Remember what I said earlier on Talk Live with regards to what Fit had to say about this? His mother had to intervene. Clearly the man was in love. He was 19 years old when he married this woman. She was 31. The power dynamic was distinctly favoring her, Ms. Anouk. Distinctly in her favor. Abuk. Ms. Abuk. Distinctly in her favor. So, but his son was in love. He was 19. He was idyllic in his stance on love. And the fact of the matter is, he said, okay. And the mother said, as Fitz said, okay, fine. You're in love. We'll go with that. But protect yourself. Rather, let's protect ourselves. Let's protect ourselves. Anything that you earn, nefarious means or not, you give to me, you give to me, you give to me, you gift to me, I'll give you an allowance. Therefore, she cannot claim anything in case of a divorce. Because her mother knew. Her mother very much knew that this day would come, that she would get out of there. She would take her chance and leave. With his fortune in tow. And he said, no. Definitely not the case. I'm not doing it. His mother said, nope, not having it. And her son lifts into her, and he said, okay, I'll transfer everything into your name. That way I'll get an allowance for you. And in that instance, I saved my fortune. And so said, so done. Here we are. So, who's the winner now?
She couldn't fool Mama though, so I don't think he's gonna take her money. I hope he gets custody of the children, and she doesn't take them away from him. But it would be super sweet to make an example out of her, because she performed the oldest trick in the book. Janet Jackson did the same thing. Marry the guy, have his children, stick around a few years, then divorce him and take his assets. It doesn't matter what the excuse is, because it's irreconcilable differences. And it's believe all women. Women will keep doing this until they get burned. So in my opinion, Hakimi, give her this L. Give her this.
We tend to forget what, as my man here said on Manosphere Daily. We tend to forget that Janet Jackson actually did this herself. Yes, she actually had that. She was with the prince, had his child. Now, financial arrangement not... listen, Janet walked away with some money. She did. She managed to walk away with some big funds. But in this instance, she'll get a stipend, but not as much as she was seeking. Men have to be smarter these days. That, as the man was saying, men have to be smarter these days in terms of marriage and what they go into. Either they get signed for a prenup, or they move their finances into somebody else's name. They have to be smarter, because these modern women are looking to take from them. It's not about love anymore. It is about what you can get. And there is no love like a mother's love. You'll never get that love again, gentlemen. Do remember that. This is how Hakimi is changing the world once again. He's letting everybody know that modern women aren't to be trusted. Unfortunately, they cannot be trusted. And you must protect yourself at all times.
It's L so hard that next Iba Abuk is gonna feel it. Can't stress it enough. Don't get married, fellas. Modern marriage has no benefits for men. No matter how cool this story of Hakima's mom is, a divorce is still considered a loss. Remember, they have children. Remember, lost time is never found again. Prevention is better than cure.
The court has come to a conclusion. Mr. Achraf Hakimi, the law states that due to the divorce, your lovely wife here is going to walk away with half of all your belongings. So, Mr. Hakimi, how much are you actually worth? I don't get shishi. What do you mean? What is the meaning of this? Do you think we're here to joke? This ain't no joke, boy. You can ask my mama right there. Yes, all this money is with me. God damn.
Manosphere, we working.
There it is. So let's get out of here. And I will leave. Well, no. Shall we get to some reactions? No, I think it's 9:31. Let's leave on these notes. It's at the end of the day, I think if this is not a concession of defeat, I don't know what is. We get this from Chisaya Zed and the Coffee Pod. Do subscribe to him. He's doing wonderful content on these YouTube streets, and he's very, very successful in and of itself. But she left these parting words. This happened about a day or so ago. As remember, this is a fast-moving subject. Ms. Hakimi was saying, remember, you can't control everything in life, but you can control how you react to it. Let go of the need for perfection, embrace the beauty of the present moment, and trust that the universe has your back. From Hiba Abu. Let's say that again. Remember, you can't control everything in life. She tried to. She definitely tried to. control everything in life. She thought she had this idea on lock. Lock. For her to believe the accusers of rape, of sexual assault, of Mr. Hakimi, and want to leave and divorce this gentleman a month before said proceedings were to begin. That was a plan. That was her way of controlling the narrative to a point where she would end up with a fortune. Overall, she had the kids. She had her young male husband. She grew tired of him and said, okay, let me see if I can get this money. And she decided to plot her way out of it. Sort of similar to what Amber Heard did. She said, oh, okay, well, I had Johnny Depp's been accused of sexual assault and all these different matters. And she wanted out as well. Amber Heard wanted out. And she decided to see if he can capitalize on a fortune because of it. Through her accusations. That was the way it was. Amber Heard accused Johnny Depp allegations of sexual assault of herself, when he was taking copious notes, and she eventually did not rule out. And in this instance, all these accusations of sexual assault on the part of Achraf Hakimi was a perfect storm for her to leave. Get out of there. Take something and take something with you. But not in this instance. So she tried to control everything in life, but you cannot control how you react to it. So therefore, she was let down by society, by hook or by crook. Let's say that, because again, there were marital funds that she was entitled to, but never did receive. By hook or by crook. But again, certain men have been jobbed on certain issues of divorce for many, many a year, but those go unheralded, do they? Let go of the need for perfection. Yes, she tried to be perfect in terms of the divorce proceedings, but it didn't happen. Embrace the beauty of the present moment and trust that the universe has your back. Do trust indeed, because quite simply, it didn't in this case. It didn't. It literally didn't. And we sit here now in the throes of the W for Achraf Hakimi, who, despite the odds, had the foresight to listen to his mother. And this is something for all you ladies out there. You can shade a man all you want. All of you want. For being a mama's boy. The fact of the matter is he's richer for it. In this instance, indeed. He's richer for being a mama's boy. And you can try and shame, insult, guilt, need to be right this gentleman, but that's not going to change the fact that he's a richer man because of it. So, I'd rather be a mama's boy than a broke boy. I'll tell you that. And let's see if we can just do this quickly. Let's see. Yes, there's one piece here. Let's get into this. This comes from Mansfield Daily Highlights, and how women are reacted to Achraf Hakimi's W over Hiba Abu.
Years old, and she is 12 years older than him. Don't think these women are happy for Hakimi. They were pissed off. He had to marry this woman, including his mama.
Can we talk about Achraf Hakimi's wife, Anmartul Achraf Hakimi? Not only did she groom him when she was 18 and she was 30, not only she did that, and not only did she trap him into a marriage and got 2 children out of him, she goes on to believe allegations that turns out to be false and filed for divorce. So while filing for the divorce, she asked for his half well-earned money, half of his fortune. But this man, while I was reading the article, I was getting so mad. I was like, this woman groomed him. This woman doesn't deserve him. Now she's taking his money. This guy followed the directions of our religion. Subhanallah, how beautiful is that?
Hold on. I don't think that's part of Islam. Is there a scripture that says that all the money you earn is in your mother's control or your parents' control? Guys, let me know. But he didn't marry a Moroccan woman. And these women know how this game works. They all knew she was there for the money. That's why they can't stand each other, because they want the high status men for themselves. You don't hear these women when the average Joe gets divorce graved in court. Nobody's jealous of the average Joe, but the star soccer player, football player, everybody's watching now. These women can't wait to date this dude. He has 2 children. He's been married once. These women don't care. Look at Leonardo DiCaprio.
And he wrote everything in the name of his mother. So everything he owns, everything he has, is in the name of his mom. Even his salary goes directly to his mom's account. So basically, he won. I love this. Just if you think for one goddamn second.
Well, we're gonna leave it there. Yeah, we're gonna leave it there. I think, yeah, we're gonna leave it right there. I think the lady there had put it so eloquently. But let's get back to the main screen. Let's get back to the mainstream and finish up here. Achraf Hakimi, he changed the world. He changed the world in so many different ways. Oh, yes, indeed. Hair by Glenna with 2 unhappy emojis. Yes, indeed. Well, I'm sure she was unhappy about the deal as well. But we can talk about that later on Talk Live. But, yeah, let's just get into it quickly. Quite quickly. Achraf, to be fair and frank, he taught the world something this week, even though many people know of it, but not a lot of people do. But in this sort of high-profile way, he did teach the world something that, number one, being a mama's boy is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. Not a bad thing at all. Listening to your mother in this instance actually saves your life, your fortune, your future, your happiness. In this instance. It saved him. It saved him, literally. Number 2, men, you got to protect yourselves. Men, you have to protect yourself at all times. If you get into a marriage, it would behoove you to have some sort of prenuptial agreement in place, especially if you have a fortune to lose. If you're out of wedlock, well, everybody would say, a lot of people would say not to get married with the state involved, because quite simply, when you have the state involved, that would lay obligations upon you, legal obligations upon you, in order to preserve the marriage and such. And also, you have to choose your wife wisely. And I think in this instance, fools rushed in this instance, especially when it came to Hiba. I think he was a man in love, and he was young, and he was dumb and full of cum, and said to himself, "Hey, let's knock this on the head. I think she's different. I think she wouldn't be there for the money," and she was there for the money. To be fair and frank, Hiba was there for the money. She wasn't there for her man, because she was there for her man. She would have stuck with him during the time when he was accused of sexual assault, of which he was exonerated. Those accusations went bye-bye. But those divorce proceedings did not, and she was in for a shock. A huge shock. So, gentlemen, as I said, leaving money in your mother's name is not a bad thing. Many people have done it before, and many people will do it again. No matter how modern women would try to shame you, guilt you, insult you, in any way, shape, or form, you end up laughing all the way to the bank. And that's how Achraf Hakimi has changed the world. And that's why men are in raptures for this bit of anomaly. Now, again, a lot of skullduggery is being used here as well, as I pointed out, but nonetheless, he still came out best. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. We're going to end it right there. It is an hour and a half into the show. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. Really, really smooth show today. And we will see you again on Thursday night. I'm going to have a night off tomorrow. See you Thursday night. We'll see if we have a Friday show, if not a weekend show as well, just to make up for yesterday not having a show as well. And thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on IG and YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And Achraf Hakimi, salute to you, sir. And we'll see you soon on Talk Live. Good night from Toronto here on IG. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. We are out of here on YouTube. And again, have to get the downloads up and running on YouTube here. And a few other things. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. And again, we'll have another show on Thursday. And we'll go from there. But thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on IG and YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. The hoodies and... Oh, look at that. I love that. I love that. That is really cool. And the hoodies and the spring